Have you ever felt that intense, suffocating pressure when your teacher hands you a photocopied passage and you know your English grade hinges entirely on the next hour's test? You stare at the page, hoping desperately that the perfect quote or perfect insight will jump off the page at you. But all you can produce in that hour is a frantic summary that your teacher predictably marks back with the crushing quote, lacks analysis. For years, students have been told what to do, analyze, but rarely how to construct that logical analysis under pressure. This video will reveal a teacher's hidden strategy that not only allows you to decode the passage, but structure masterful analysis. I'm John, and as a 17-year high school English teacher, I can solve literally every problem you could come across in a high school English class. So when you're done watching this video, I have one question for you. Will you finally learn the secret structure that unlocks A's on passage analysis tests, or will you keep recycling the same failed habits? Let's jump right in. So the first thing you need to know about working on passage analysis again is being able to annotate the text. Don't jump right in. I jokingly and cheekily say here that you're not that smart. Don't take offense. No English student I've ever taught has just been able to get a passage and just write a perfect passage analysis. You need to slow down, take the 10, 15 minutes or so, and ultimately write your thoughts, your ideas, jot down your points. And the reason why this is so important is because students often make the mistake of simply writing everything and anything whenever they get a passage analysis. They kind of play the game of, first idea, best idea. And that first idea is usually, well, you guessed it, never the best. Those first ideas often have little connection or relevance to the passage. You need time to understand it, to build those connections and that relevance. And just getting started right away is ultimately wasted effort and time, which will, I promise you, lead to bad grades. So again, annotate first. But the next question is, well, if I know why I should annotate, what should I annotate? So let's start looking for the easiest thing. Let's go for that low-hanging fruit. The first thing I always tell students to annotate for is ultimately character. Focus on their traits and think about, are they changing in the passage? Or if you want some easy bonus marks right here, use the term psychological setting. It's just a fancy way of saying what the character is thinking and feeling. So annotate your passage for their traits, are they might be changing and what are they thinking and feeling. Now, the second thing you could take a look at is conflict. Many passages have conflict. It's one of the major elements of a story. So why not use that to your advantage? Conflict is great because when you identify conflict, it can often lead to a larger discussion or passage analysis about, a crisis. Is the character going through a crisis, or do they have a big decision or dilemma to make? Oftentimes, conflict will also complicate the plot. So use that to your advantage. So start with character, work on the conflict. And then with the third thing to annotate, I usually choose one of these two. The first thing is take a look at the reason is the setting often sets the tone for both conflict and character. As I say here, the setting often affects how characters interact with each other, often leading to conflict. So setting and its connection to characters and conflict can work really well. But like I also say, if it's not there, don't worry. Another really simple one is theme. And just, does this passage show any themes? And you might notice I've left the fifth story element out here. Never ever write about plot. That's not an annotation. That's not a passage analysis. That's just a summary. So start with character, look at conflict, go into setting or theme, but never ever write about plot. And lastly, the next question is, okay, now I've annotated for the first 20, 25 minutes. How do I structure my response in order to, oh, shoot, sorry. Lastly, if you want to get fancy, discuss literary devices or symbolism. Imagery is the number one, literary device you could work on. So focus on that first, but you can also throw some simple ones like metaphor and simile in there if you want. Sorry, I forgot about this. Going back to that initial question, what's the actual structure going to look like? What should I write about? And that's when we get into organizing. How do you organize it? Really simple. What you do is just over and over again in the same order. The first thing is you make your point. Firstly, this passage demonstrates use the first thing you annotated again, either character or psychological setting, and explain what it does. Then give the direct evidence from the text. Then after that, just explain why it's important. How did that passage show character or psychological setting? Do the same thing for your second paragraph. Use a transition word. Secondly, this passage demonstrates go with conflict in this case. Give the evidence. How does the quote show conflict, and explain why it's important. I think you know where I'm going for the next one. Thirdly, this passage demonstrates setting or theme. Explain what it is that it shows. Give that quote and then that explanation or analysis. Lastly, it shows if you need a literary device, throw that in there because we're starting really easy and getting some that are a little bit more challenging. So there you have it. There's both how to annotate and the structure of writing a passage analysis. Now, you probably have one final question, which is what does that look like when it's all done? What would a good passage analysis sound like for, grade 11, 12 student? And great question. Click on this video right here where I continue my look at passage analysis, giving you insights into both how to annotate and what a good final product would look like. So take care. I'll see you in that video.